Hi, Claire. Thanks for joining me here today. You've been following the church Bible reading plan for 3 years now since we started it, which is wonderful. And I would just love to ask you to share with us a bit about what God's been showing you and teaching you, what you've been learning as you followed that over the last 3 years.
Thanks, Kat. It's been a rich 3 years. Reading the Bible isn't quite like reading other books, and so it can be a really gripping story that just makes you want to read more, and then I read ahead, and then there are parts that are about as exciting as a shopping list, and that's okay. I've learnt to live with the fact that it's it varies, and some of that depends on where I'm at. But I aim to read the Bible every day. Note the emphasis on the word aim. Because I believe that God can connect with me through it. And so I try to start with a prayer, if I remember, to actually not just be thinking in terms of tick one task off my list for the day, to actually pray that Jesus will actually meet me in that place, and it will become a living space for the two of us to grow together, or for me to grow in him. And so reading through the harder bits, the boring bits, or the bits that just raise more questions than give answers, I'm trusting that he's actually going to be using that in me, whether it feels good at the time, whether I have great understanding at the time, whether I find it particularly engaging or not. I trust that he will actually be doing something in me, and that makes it worth continuing on. So how did I see that while I was following the plan? I'm using a Bible app now, and it gives me the opportunity to highlight things and to make notes about my questions and my thoughts as I'm doing it. And the great thing about that is, because I used to do that in paper journals, but of course I rarely went back to that journal to read it again. But when it's in the app, I can actually find it when we're looking up a passage on a Sunday morning or something, and I go, oh, there's that note I wrote. I wonder what I thought when I read it last time, or whenever I made that note. And I find that's actually really encouraging, because the things that I've learned or the questions that I've asked, I can revisit, and I find God continues to speak to me through it, which is great. One of the things about doing it with the church is that there's a little bit of an accountability to keep going, because I know other people are doing it as well. That can work against you if you kind of feel like, oh no, I've fallen off the wagon. But someone in my life group is also doing it, and that was really helpful, because then we could kind of just mention in passing, oh, we read that in Jeremiah just last week, or whatever, and that sense of connection with people as well as with God through the reading was really encouraging. That meant that I also had chances to talk about what I was learning with people, because they were at the same, sort of roughly the same part of the same journey. And sometimes it was really exciting when you'd be listening to a sermon on a Sunday, or we'd be studying something in life group, and you'd see connections with what you'd been learning, and or it gave you an opportunity to sort of connect different parts of the Bible together, and that was really helpful too. The last 3 years have been especially tough for me personally, and reading the Bible regularly in connection with people in my church has actually been a great encouragement. So it's connecting me to God as I read the Bible, but it's also connecting me with the faith community around me in a time when I really needed that connection.
Yeah, wonderful. And I'm wondering if you could just give us an example of a time when a particular instance, something that stood out to you in the Bible as you've been reading it. I know there's been a lot over the last 3 years.
That's right. I was in the WhatsApp group that was for people who wanted to sort of be able to connect together, who were reading through the plan. And I wrote back in April this year, I don't usually enjoy Proverbs because it's just one saying after another without developing a specific theme, apart from very broad ones. But I'm finding the Passion Translation drawing out some interesting implications. For instance, Proverbs 21:28, the guarded words of an honest man will stand the test of time. Not honesty that distills everything, I noted, but carefully chosen words is so practical. And that would be true of a number of books that I continue to find fairly challenging to read. But I've got little notes, and that collection of notes and highlights is building up as God speaks to me each time I read them.